The desert air was thick with dust that morning at Forward Operating Base Sentinel. The kind of dust that got into everything: your gear, your food, your lungs. Staff Sergeant Mike Daniels stood at the edge of the briefing tent, watching his men gather around the steel table where maps and intelligence reports were spread out like puzzle pieces of a war zone. He'd been in country for 8 months now, leading his platoon through some of the hottest sectors in the region. But today felt different. There was a tension in the air that went beyond the usual pre-mission jitters. Lieutenant Jake Morrison walked in, and immediately, Mike noticed something was off. The lieutenant was new, only been with them for 3 weeks. Fresh out of officer training, full of textbook tactics but short on real-world experience. The kind of officer that made seasoned NCOs nervous. The briefing began. Intelligence had picked up chatter about a high-value target in a village 15 clicks north. The mission was straightforward on paper: move in, secure the target, extract. But Mike had been doing this long enough to know that nothing was ever straightforward when you left the wire. As Lieutenant Morrison laid out his plan, Mike's stomach tightened. The route the lieutenant proposed would take them straight through an area known for IED activity. The timing would put them in the village during midday: maximum exposure, minimum tactical advantage. And the extraction point was a narrow canyon with limited egress options. Mike cleared his throat. "Sir, if I may." Morrison cut him off. "I've reviewed the intel, Sergeant. The plan is solid." Mike tried again, his voice measured and respectful. "Lieutenant, I've run OPS in this sector before. That route. Are you questioning my judgment, Sergeant?" Morrison's jaw tightened, his inexperience showing in the defensiveness. The tent went quiet. Every man there knew what was happening. It was the age-old tension between rank and experience, between the gold bar and the stripes earned through years in the field. Mike could have pushed harder. He could have made it an issue, gone over Morrison's head to the company commander. But he also knew that undermining a young officer in front of the men could fracture the unit's cohesion. It was a knife's-edge decision, and Mike made the call to trust the chain of command. "No, sir," Mike said quietly. "Just offering input based on experience." "Input noted," Morrison replied, but his tone made it clear the discussion was over. They rolled out at 0600. 8 Humvees carrying 40 men into hostile territory, following a plan that made Mike's instincts scream. He positioned himself in the lead vehicle, right behind Morrison's. If things went sideways, he wanted to be close enough to react. The first few kilometers were uneventful. The landscape rolled past ochre hills, scattered compounds, the occasional goat herder watching them with unreadable eyes. But as they approached the route Mike had warned about, his hand instinctively moved closer to his rifle. That's when the first IED detonated. The explosion ripped through the second vehicle in the convoy, a massive plume of dirt and fire erupting from the roadside. The concussion wave hit Mike's Humvee like a physical punch. Training took over immediately. His driver swerved, his gunner swiveled the 50 call, scanning for secondary threats. "Contact left," someone shouted over the radio. Small arms fire erupted from a compound 200 meters out. The ambush was textbook: disable the convoy with an IED, then hit them while they were vulnerable and clustered. Morrison's voice came over the radio, high and tight with adrenaline. "Return fire. Maintain position." But maintaining position in a kill zone was exactly the wrong call. Mike grabbed his radio. "Sir, we need to push through. We're sitting ducks here." Before Morrison could respond, an RPG streaked across the sky, impacting 20 meters from the lieutenant's vehicle. Mike saw Morrison freeze just for a second, but in combat, a second could mean everything. Mike made a split-second decision. He grabbed the radio and barked orders to the convoy. All vehicles, push forward 200 meters and establish a defensive perimeter. Wounded to the center. Now, the convoy moved, following the voice of experience rather than rank. They broke out of the kill zone and established a defensible position. Mike's team laid down suppressive fire while the medics worked on the casualties from the IED strike. 3 wounded, none critical, they'd gotten lucky. But they weren't out of it yet. The enemy fire was intensifying, and they were still 15 clicks from base with a damaged vehicle and wounded men. Morrison appeared at Mike's side, his face pale beneath the dust and sweat. For a moment, their eyes met, and Mike saw the lieutenant processing what had just happened, how his inexperience had nearly gotten his men killed, how his staff sergeant had stepped up and saved the situation. "Sergeant," Morrison said, his voice different now, humbler. "What do you recommend?" Mike quickly assessed their situation and laid out a plan. Call in air support to suppress the enemy position, establish an overwatch element on the high ground to their east, and create a secure corridor for a medevac helicopter. Morrison listened, nodded, and then gave the orders, this time incorporating Mike's tactical judgment. The next hour was intense. Apache helicopters arrived and hammered the enemy positions. The medevac extracted the wounded. Mike's team provided security as they rigged the damaged Humvee for towing. Through it all, Morrison stayed close to Mike, watching, learning, adapting. By the time they rolled back through the gates of Fob Sentinel, the sun was setting, painting the desert in shades of umber and crimson. The men were exhausted, rattled, but alive. All of them. That night, Morrison found Mike near the motor pool, checking on his vehicle maintenance. The lieutenant approached quietly, his usual officers bearing tempered by something new, respect earned through fire. "I almost got us killed today," Morrison said without preamble. Mike looked at him, seeing not the green lieutenant from that morning, but something different. Something that might, with time and experience, become a good officer. "You listened when it mattered, sir," Mike replied. "That's what counts." Morrison was quiet for a moment. "The men said you could have made me look bad in that briefing. Could have pushed the issue up the chain. Why didn't you?" Mike thought about how to answer. About all the things he'd learned in his years of service, about leadership, about pride, about the delicate balance between rank and respect. "Because we are all on the same team, sir. Sometimes you have to trust that people will rise to the occasion when they need to." "You did." Morrison extended his hand. "Thank you, Staff Sergeant. For having my back out there. For saving my command. For saving me." Mike shook his hand firmly. "That's what we do, sir. We have each other's backs. Always." As Morrison walked away, Mike returned to his work. Tomorrow there would be other missions, other challenges, other moments where split-second decisions could mean the difference between life and death. But tonight, his men were safe. His commander had learned a crucial lesson. And the bond that held their unit together had been forged stronger in the fire of combat. That was the real victory.